Hello there, welcome to more Haskell live coding. It's been a little while since I did this, a few weeks since I did any kind of streaming, and probably about 6 weeks since I worked on this project, so it's going to be a voyage of discovery tonight, I think. Plan for today is to go back to the applications writing last year, which is called Showtime, and it's an application, I guess a web app now, to kind of plan what do you call it? Plan like podcast sessions. They're actually video based, but podcast based. And I have some stuff working from the end of last year. I have like an application where you can create an upcoming episode. You can manage topics that we're going to talk about, and you can manage cast members. Today I want to go back and look at the storage. So at the moment it stores stuff in files. Quite early on I built an interface so that you can store stuff in memory, which I use for testing. And I want to see if it's easy or how difficult it is to swap out the storage layer and replace it with storing data in Postgres. Now I've done some Postgres before in Haskell and I've forgotten how it works, so I'm going to do it all again, but I'm going to focus on PostgreSQL.Simple today. It doesn't give me much in terms of type level assistance, but I think it'd be quite good to look at implementing storage using that, and then maybe in future episodes I can look at something like postgres-typed or hasql, not sure how you pronounce it, or maybe not, I don't know, we'll see. But today it's all going to be about storage. So here we go. It's not a very interesting window. Actually, maybe I'll start by just recapping what the app does, because it has been a little while. So this is the web interface to the app. This is showing the upcoming episode. It has a host, it has some participants. Sorry, question here. Besides Haskell, do I program in another language? Yes, I'm actually not very good at Haskell. My day job is programming in Go. Prior to Go, I did a lot of time writing Ruby, and then I guess Perl before that, and maybe a bit of C before that. But my day job is Go programming at the moment. In these videos we've done, I've been mostly doing Haskell. I did a little bit of PureScript as well, but that's kind of Haskell for the web, I guess. Right, anyway, so in the application for the upcoming episode, we have a host, we have some participants, we have a topic for this. We have a list of topics, and you can create new topics and delete them. And then we have cast members, so you can add normal participants, you can add hosts, and you can promote and demote people to and from being a host. This is using Servant for the API, and then behind that, it's storing some data eventually. And what it's doing is it's shoving it into files. One of the files is quite awkward, actually. There's a file called cast that contains both hosts and participants. That's kind of a legacy thing. It's left from when I wrote this initially and quite quickly. But I did write this type class, in fact, these two type classes. Storable, which is a thing that we are going to store, which you can marshal and unmarshal. So before we store something in a file, we make sure we can marshal it. I'm not sure this marshalling is going to survive this episode, I guess. But the other thing we have is this type class for storage. And the idea here is that we can store data. And I have two implementations of this. One is storing it in memory, where we just put it in a list or a map, I can't remember what it is. And the other one is the one that is actually used for the web app, where we store it in files. So I'm kind of thinking today I could put a new storage layer in, or storage provider, I guess, in, where we store it in the database. I have forgotten how to use Postgres. I haven't touched that for a little bit, so that might be a little bit of a journey as well. But we'll give it a go and see how far we get. I think in main, somewhere, yeah, we have this helper, which is make file storage. We no definition found. There we go. File storage. And this returns something of type file storage, which should be a type up here. Yeah, type up here, and it just has at the minute, it just has a list of paths to all the different files that store the different types of data. And then an instance of the storable. So we're saying, I don't like this aspect of Haskell, but we're saying the definition of load for file storage as an instance of the storage type class is this function called load, which is given as its first argument. No, it's not, sorry. It's given its first argument the type of thing you're trying to store, and then it's given the storage itself, the instance of storage, and a load will return a list of stuff, right? It will return a list of things that can be stored. So I'll need an equivalent thing for Postgres. I'll need some implementation of load where it takes the type of data you're storing, it takes the storage instance, and it returns a list of things which are storable. And it's same for add and remove and truncate, so on. Okay, so Postgres. The library I want to use today is PostgreSQL.Simple, which I don't think I've used before, but maybe I have, I'm not sure. But I want to use it because it's kind of simple. I guess it's included in the name, isn't it? But I want to use it because it doesn't do a lot of the really clever stuff that you can do in Haskell. And I want to kind of go through the pain of saying, if you're just querying Postgres from a typed language, what does it feel like when you're not using template Haskell to hide all of the pain? So I want to build something up where we have these kinds of functions which will connect, well, they'll probably take a connection to Postgres, store it somewhere, and then we'll just run queries and we'll get some data back. I guess the first thing to do is just to get this working at all, so that we can maybe just run this query, or just run the 2 + 2, and we'll try and get something back from it. And then I'll start looking at plugging it in. Okay, so I'll need, let's go up this version number. No, I won't. 064, I can remember that. Okay, let's go to Cabal. No, oops, sorry, let's go to Cabal file. And I'll stick into here. So in the library, that's what we're looking at. In here, we want to use, oops, PostgresQL.Simple, and it was 0.6.4. Save that. Ooh. Since I last worked on this, I've installed an extension which does formatting of Cabal files, and it makes my life a lot easier. Okay, so it's in the background, it's chugging away installing that. In main, what I might just do is not do any of this stuff, and for now I'm just going to concentrate on connecting to the database. So here, oops, I just didn't mean to do that. Wow, that key binding is not very helpful. Give me a second, I need to fix that key binding. So Control-C, I've managed to bind to centering the content. It should be Control-Shift-C. There we go. There was a weird thing. Actually, that was a keyboard related thing. I've managed to put it into Shift Lock. Okay. Right, I'm going to stop this from running because I want to change the implementation of main, and I'll get this to just connect to Postgres and say something. So comment those lines out, and what I want to do is, well, just for a second, I'm going to say put strilin hello, and then just make sure it says hello, so that we are compiling properly. Okay. Following package specified this, but we're not needed. Okay. That's, yeah. Yeah, it's very pedantic. I've told it to be very pedantic, but it says that I'm installing postgres.Simple and I'm not using it in the library. Okay, so let's use it somewhere. So we had file storage, which is under source file storage. So I guess we can have source PostgreSQL storage. Storage.hs. Is it gonna work? Yeah, there we go. Cool. Okay, and I'll just grab, oops, this instance for a second. I don't really need this instance yet, but we'll do it anyway. So storage of PostgreSQL storage, and we need some type for PostgreSQL storage. So I'll just I won't do anything yet, I guess. I'll just define it. Okay, and then can it import this? Yes, it can by the looks of it. Okay, and then we have these functions. So load, we know takes some storable A, and it takes an s.data type. This will be something like host or participant or topic or whatever. It's going to take a PostgreSQL storage, storage, and it's going to return something under IO. It's going to return a list of A's. Undefined. Okay, and we can import storage, storable. Yep, cool. And then we'll do the same for add and for oh, I thought it would work out the type for me, but it's not doing that. Okay, so the type of add is given some storable A. We want to say s.data type and some A and some storage. We're going to store it and not return anything. Oops. And then remove, we'll have same data type, I think. Yep, and truncate is a bit simpler. Doesn't need a storable, it just deletes everything, so it like empties the table. So we take data type, we take PostgreSQL storage and return this. And now why is this ambiguous? Where else does this come from? Prelude. Okay. Annoying, so we're going to import prelude hiding truncate. Okay, I need to fix this data type. So truncate does not take any of this stuff. It just says, oh no, it just doesn't take an A. It does take data type. Okay, so now we have our PostgreSQL storage and an undefined implementation of this interface. I could just put all these to undefined, couldn't I? But anyway. Okay, I thought they'd be needed now. File packages specify a package but are not needed for compilation. Right, I don't really know why it's saying that, because that package is now used. No, it's not used. I'm still not using PostgreSQL.Simple. Of course I'm not. I defined the type, but I'm not using it. Okay. So in here, we'll create a constructor. storage. And actually it's going to get upset because I've only got one entry in my record, but that's going to be connection. And the type of this is going to be whatever this gives me back. Connect PostgreSQL. Google, drop that in there. So we give it a byte string, which is a connection string, I guess, and it's going to give me back an IO connection. That's going to be IO of, I'll just import connection directly. I'll put it to be a new type so it shuts that thing up. And then, cool, I can now import it, even though I'm not actually using it, connect anywhere. So now will it finally say hello? It does not. What's its problem? Okay. Now we're including database PostgreSQL.Simple, and it's saying PostgreSQL.Simple is not needed for compilation. Maybe this gets deleted because it's not used anywhere. So what can we do? We can go back to main and we can say storage is make PostgreSQL storage, which I'll need to import from somewhere, and I'll write a definition of this. So make PostgreSQL storage. It's probably going to need to take a byte string for the connection at some point, but for now, let's just say it's going to run under IO and it's going to return a a PostgreSQL storage. PostgreSQL storage. Okay, and then make PostgreSQL storage. It's going to be pure PostgreSQL storage, and then it needs the connection. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit more complicated. So the connection is connect PostgreSQL. And that takes a byte string, is that right? Yes. I'm just looking to see what the connection string is supposed to look like. Does that go into the string? I guess it does. And then I need to get from a string to a byte string somehow. But I got overloaded a string, so if I can work out what it's supposed to contain, it'll work it out for me. So host is going to be localhost. Password is indeed secret and user is indeed Postgres, I think. So user is Postgres and password is equal to secret for now. Okay, let's import this. Okay, we now have a connection, so we can return that, except that we cannot. Okay. So we now have a connection. We connect under IO, but we don't store the action of connecting under IO. We just store the connection itself. Very important, have a sip of wine, then we continue. Okay, so now in main, we can say this. We should connect to our database, and then we say hello, except that we shouldn't connect to the database because I haven't started the database app yet. But will it at least compile? It does not. So confused by this. I could understand when we didn't use it, but now we do, and we include it. Oh no, hang on, main. We don't include it in main. So LSP server, because this should be complaining, right? I haven't imported this from anywhere. So LSP is not kicking in because it can't build a project because I'm not using this library, and I can't use the library because I can't import it and the LSP is not helping me. PostgreSQL storage, and it's make PostgreSQL storage. So if I say that, is that enough? Still not enough. I could get rid of unused packages, but that seems like the wrong answer here. So in main, we're putting in PostgreSQL storage, and in PostgreSQL storage, I should maybe not export everything, but it doesn't really matter. We are using postgresql-simple, and here I am using functions from inside postgresql-simple, and this is being called by main. So have I messed up some in the Cabal file? So in the library, yes. So I didn't tell about the module. So the module won't be included. So therefore it won't be importing the thing. There we go. Okay. Better. Not great, but better. Okay, it's now complaining about all the stuff that I'm importing without using inside main. Good, we're getting some good errors here, I think. Okay, so storage we can ignore for a second. And then there's no reason why we can't just bring this back in for a second. I don't think we'll get this far because this, I think, will raise an exception. It does build, I guess that's progress. Here we go, we got our exception. We can't connect to that because it's not running. So here I can run it. Okay, so we now have an instance of Postgres running. So if I do this, you say hello, and then, yeah, this is the hello string, and then this is the old behavior, which is to print out the upcoming episode. Okay, back to here. We now have our Postgres storage. We can do that. We get rid of our file storage. And then we run it, and I expect it to fail because when you run it, it will try and load the latest episode, which will call load, and it will return, well, it'll call a function which is just undefined at the moment. So let compile and run. There we go. Undefined has been called from PostgreSQL storage. Okay, it's quite satisfying when you predict the outcome and that is actually the outcome. Okay, here in our connection, we probably need to tell it what database to use as well. And the database is going to be showtime, which means I need to create that, which means I need to remember how to use Postgres and also how to create a new tab. There we go, new tab. Okay. So connect to Postgres. I should be able to say create database into quotas. Probably not. It's called showtime. Good. That was a good start. And then is it create user showtime identified? No. Is it identified by, or is it password? I might just go and look it up. PostgresQL create user. I haven't done this for so long. Create user blah. With password? No. Create user with password. Does it say password in here? Oh yes. Create user blah password blah. So create user showtime, password secret. No. Password secret. There we go. Okay, and then is it grant all privileges on showtime.star to user showtime? Is that going to work? Grant all. Grant all privileges on table, but that should be the thing.star to role specification. Do I need to quote the user.star maybe for the database.star? No. Is it just to showtime? Yes. Almost. Okay, so showtime.star is not what I want. Grant insert on table films. I want to give them privilege to everything in the database. I'm going to keep checking chat, see if anyone remembers this before I do. PostgreSQL grant all on database. Grant all on database. All privileges on showtime to showtime. Does that work? No. Oh, on database. Showtime. Oh, look at that. Okay, cool. What did I set the password to? I set the password to secret. So if I now connect as user showtime, database we showtime. Cool. Okay, so I can now connect as showtime to database called showtime. Create table. What are we going to have? We're going to have hosts, and it's going to have ID, which is a serial, and a name, which is a text bar chart. I can't remember what it is. Permission denied for schema public. Okay. I thought I had all the permissions. Let's Google it. Oh, don't print it on keyboard. Schema public is that. Calculate tables. Just give me the answer. Grant all on database blah to whatever, but not things. Alter database, set the owner. Okay, let's do that. So connect again as Postgres. Not secret, that's the password. Showtime, and the database is showtime. Okay. Connect as showtime, and then I want to do my create table. There we go. So we have a table. And let me say select star from hosts. It's empty. Okay. Back to here. So in theory, we should be able to connect to our database. I'll just check that works actually. So if I go back to here and run, I should get the same undefined error rather than connection exception. No. File connection option database. If I leave that out, will it default to showtime? Like, does it follow the user? Can't remember. Yeah, it looks like it. Or we connect to something anyway. Okay, so this load that we have, what I want to do is essentially say load hosts. So this data type is going to be s.host. So if you call it and you're trying to load a host from Postgres, then what we want to do is get the data back and like load it from that table and then return it. And I might actually just change the default action. Sorry, change that for a second. Load load underscore from Postgres is error. Don't know how to load, and then we will show the type. Okay, get rid of that error. Second. So what I want to do is just change the behavior run. So if you call it without any arguments, which is none of these. Oh, sorry, here. Yes, if you call it anyways, it runs cast, and cast will do a bunch of stuff. Oh, it'll create a new episode for you. That's not really what I want it to do. So what we can do instead is there's a command inside here, inside hosts, which does listing. So if I run hosts list, it should try and list those hosts. So say hosts list, that should be calling load for hosts, which is the thing I'm kind of trying to implement. So we should hit this basically. So I was thinking, okay, this undefined. So now I want to go back to the browser and look up how to use PostgreSQL.Simple. So we have our connection already, and then we can run some query, and that's going to get an int, which isn't really what I want. But I can use placeholders, is that right? How do you actually use it? Query, connection, the query you want to run, and then the arguments. So I'm going to just call this DB. Query will come from our library. We'll say db.com. So I can import this from PostgreSQL.Simple. Is this a problem here? Why is query still underlined? Maybe it shouldn't be. Okay, can't work out the types for this, but that's kind of, I'll tell it in a second. But what we want to do is select name from hosts. I hope I called it hosts. What did I call my table? I called it hosts, yep. Okay, select name from hosts, where, we don't want a where clause actually. So we can use query underscore, I think. Okay, and import that. And now we don't know what the types are. So we can say something. What can we say here? They have only, does that match a single value? Is there some kind of list related thing? List of values. Except users, blah, blah, blah. I'll give us some more examples. We're not doing that. Extracting results. Okay, in return a list of values in the from row type class. So we run our query. It'll return a list of tuples. So for everything in X's, grab the tuple and then print it out. Okay, but what we're actually want to do is we call the query and we get back a list of hosts, just hosts. And then we want to map that into, well, sorry, just names actually, and we want to map that back into host objects. So mapmx's, no, what's the function type of mapm? Mapm takes, don't move the cursor. Mapm, so we take a function which goes from A to MB, and then we get a list of A's, and we should get a list of empty B's. Do we need mapm? Can we just call map? So we will take a tuple which just contains a name, I think. That wouldn't be a tuple then, would it? We take a name, and oh no, we do need this, sorry, query runs under IO, so we do need mapm. And Okay, we have a name and we want to just turn to host. I need to import this constructor. That's not what I want. I don't want any of those. Do we have host.host? That was called host. No, is it cast? Try again. Cast, but this time from API. So cast has got a type constructor for host. Okay, so for cast.cast host. Right. We need the actual constructor, not just the type. Okay, I understand its argument of why not just host, because that is already a function. Right. So now we want IOA and we have list of host. So now we can actually just, I think, we could say this, although it thinks we can't. Right, result of query is giving us a list of R's where R is something that is of type from row or implements from row. We need to give it a connection, so we don't give it a connection, we give it a connection, we give it the query, which is selecting them from hosts, and it should give us back a list of these things, and I'm saying for each of these, I would like to call host on the contents of this, but I don't know what it's inside from row. So we can say result is that. So that should now just be a list of things which implement from row. And then it doesn't know the types of things, but it should be able to work it out because it should be able to say host mapped over results. Okay, first of all, it needs to be under, we need to return something under IO, so we'll return pure. Then host. Maybe I'll just copy their exact example, but I don't want for m, but maybe I could do map m. So as a result of our query, we want to say for everything inside map m, I can take a function, and I think here it should be a single value, which is name. I'm just going to call host of name, and we want result. We would lambda, but what's the problem? So now I can't match host with IOB. Okay, so it's going to be pure host name. It doesn't feel right, but anyway. So now our hosts should be equal to that. and then we should be able to return hosts. So a lot of this feels very wrong. What's this problem with query? It doesn't, I think it doesn't know the type of the query properly, or the return of the query. This is just complaining. And here it couldn't match IO of A with IO of host. Let's have a quick look at the way we implemented file storage. So here we have storable A, data type, file storage, IO of A, data type, PostgreSQL storage, IO of A, that's the same signature. And here we call load file, which called read file. So read file will return a list of contents, and then we call a marshal on it, and that goes from text maybe, and unmarshal, the implementation of a marshal in hosts is just taking the host prefix off, because in the file it stored a prefix that says host. But nowhere here have I told it it's host. I'm using unmarshal. Okay, so we can say map maybe unmarshal of hosts. So map maybe comes from data maybe, unmarshal comes from storage. Okay, and now it cannot match type hosts. Oh, because I don't want this. Sorry, we do this on results. Pure as that it would be anyway, but it's not helping. Okay. So it expects text to A and it actually B0. Yeah, I think here in this example, how do we know it's a host? That's maybe what I'm wondering. You call a marshal on it. Which unmarshal is it going to run? Because in file storage, we just call load file. But how does it know that it's going to return a list of hosts at this point, not just a list of things? But it doesn't return a host, it just returns something that's unmarshalable. Host file is just a file path. Okay, so that's not interesting. So we read the content file, and that's going to give us back. Why have we got lift IO there? It's weird, it's running under IO anyway. That might be a mistake. Read content file gives us back a list of text in this case, and then we call a marshal on that, which goes from text to maybe X. Ooh, we don't have something of type text. And how does it know what to unmarshal? Because the caller of this function is expecting list of hosts back. Okay, so we'll marshal it, and then we call map maybe to check away all the all the nothings, basically all the things that couldn't be unmarshaled, using the correct unmarshaller. So we have results. I might just check and see what's inside results. So we could say something like 4m, and it's just 4m print of x's. It's not x's, it's result. Okay, so I can't work that out, so I need to say something like print x as text result. Then we'll import text, and then we can say pure nothing, just to make that error go away. Okay, and what's wrong with 4m? 4m takes arguments of the way around, that's why. Quite a lot wrong with this actually, but that isn't going to help. Okay, still getting a problem, but maybe getting closer. So couldn't deduce that from query, but I've told explicitly it's text. Can't deduce from row text arises from use of query underscore from the context. I don't think the context is particularly relevant in this case. So in their example, they have query, whatever, and then they take the results that select and okay. It's not going to return name as text, they're going to unpack it into text. Unpack it into text? Unpack it from text, because they're prints.ln, so it should be text at this point. And age they're saying is an integer. So I'm saying print x where x is text. I could say print x, but they'll have no idea then what x is. Yes, no idea what x is at all. So it's a string. Ooh. Okay, that worked a bit better. Saying Marshall is redundant. Okay, maybe now at least tell me what it loaded from the database. No. Oh, there's nothing in hosts. That doesn't help. Okay, so here I'm going to say insert into hosts name values Bob. How to do database. No. Is it that? No, column Bob does not exist. There we go. Started in the database. So I run this again. Good, maybe. not the most helpful message, but SQL type as text, I'm treating it as a string, I'm guessing. Yeah. It says I'm treating it as a character, but I'm really treating it as a list of characters. So how do I convince it to treat it as text? And why does treating it as text suddenly not work? What is the type of query? Query is returning something of type R, where R is from row. Example of how to extract results. I have almost exactly the same thing now. They're getting it as text and they're unpacking it. Oh, actually, I also need to unpack it because I'm using print. So here I can say t dot unpack x, where for that I'll avoid lambda, but it still has errors here. So we still have the same problem where oh, interesting. It wants me to define a type of from row. That seems weird. Non-type variable argument. I've got my import wrong. Let me do that. Goes that. Yeah. I have no idea what it was trying to do there when it tried to fix it for me. Okay, there's something up here about type inference. I should maybe go and read it. Rejected doesn't know the types. So it should be a single row containing a single numeric column. And they're saying X is of type list of only int. I guess, like, first of all, is that type check? I need to leave that last line in place, I think. Oh. And then pull in only. And con is db.con, so I did need that. Okay, this type checks. Does it work? No, because I got a load of unused imports. It does, okay, so it has only from only equals 4. Okay, so now if we say select name from hosts, These are not ints, these are texts. Does that work? Yes. Okay. So can we then pattern match against that and unpack it a little bit? So we can say if we are given a list, no, if we're given an only text, sorry. It's a list of only whatever, so we have an only A and only X in this case. In this case, can we print X? Regarded type. I thought form didn't return anything. Done a variable capture. Weird. Oh, I haven't imported form. Let's try that. Okay. Now it's saying results not in scope because it's named X's. Right. Okay, so it's a list of only X. I guess instead of the tuple, you get the only coming back. Maybe that was the issue. So back to here, run it again. Oh, for goodness sake. Okay, good. So we now get a single thing back, which is Bob. Right. So we can get rid of this print. Oh, no, we cannot. Oh. Okay. Can we tell it here it's a list of only text? Nope. So printing it or fixes the type somehow, but 4M does not. Does that mean though that I can say mapm of x's? We're not going to print it. In fact, it's not even mapm. Can we just map it? No, because what's the type of x's? X is a list of only text. We can't print, that's why it's complaining. Okay, so can we just call host on it? We don't disregard it. We want to say hosts is equal to that. And we need to import this, cast host. Okay. And then can we return hosts? No. This is so annoying. Can we call on Marshall? So map maybe comes from data, maybe. Okay, so this seems to be fixing the type, and then this might return a list of hosts. We'll never know because we've got unused imports. Okay, so it prints it out and it somehow returns it, but I'm guessing we don't use that anywhere. In main, oh, we said host list, didn't we? So it's not unmarshalling properly, I guess, because it doesn't start with host. Let me see if that's the case. So I go into here. I'm going to marshal a participant. It says without the host prefix T, and this says okay. Unmarshal should probably just strip prefix. Oh, I see. This, I think, returns nothing if it can't strip it. So I could say unmarshalling a host is just host of T. Just host of T. So I think it wasn't getting unmarshaled properly because it expects it to be prefixed with the word host. There we go. Okay, so it's now listing the host, which is Bob, but only because I've somehow fixed the type by calling this. That's not the case. Okay, I can now get rid of that. It now seems happy. Oh, not there, sorry, in here. Go to that. Look at that. Okay, it now lists all the hosts, which is a single host called Bob. Okay, gonna call it a day there and come back to this next week. What a pain. So loading stuff using PostgreSQL.Simple is a bit of a pain because you're having to tell it what the types are, but annoyingly my type is not a concrete type, it's a storable. So I can't cast it to host because host is not a, host is host. There is a compiler extension for that. I don't know whether or not it would help. Anyway, we made it work using unmarshal. I remember actually this worked when I originally wrote the storage stuff. But the unmarshaler for host was, it assumes that it's prefixed with the string host and it's not in the database. So it'll be interesting to see how we can have that working both for files where it is prefixed and non-files where it's not prefixed. Not sure what I'll do about that. Then I can look at loading other things as well. So like participants and so on. And then I guess start filling the rest of these things in. Bit of a pain, but a useful battle against the type checker. Cool. So yeah, hopefully you can come back next week and watch me add more stuff trying to store in Postgres. But thanks for watching along. Hope you've enjoyed looking at some Haskell and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.